Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Tasty Tidbits podcast. Get ready to receive rich, well-seasoned, and tasteful tidbits to transform your life. Each week, Dr. Tiffany comes to you with inspirational encouragement and thought-provoking interviews to help revolutionize your walk with God. Are you hungry for more of His presence? Then get ready. And now, your host, author, intuitive life coach, and pastor, Dr. Tiffany Watkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Tasty Tidbits. I am your host, Dr. Tiffany Watkins, and I'm so excited to have you here on another episode. And I am so excited to have my special guest today, Rashidat, and we're going to be talking about something that I know is so important, and I'm just ready to learn myself and just to be able to get into something deep that we're going to talk about today, and that's talking about the importance of choosing you and embracing rest, because a lot of times we are so busy in life that we forget about ourselves, and so that's what we're going to talk today. But before we get started, I want to let you know a little bit more about Rashidat. Rashidat helps high achieving Black women unlearn the hustle culture and finally give themselves permission to rest, dream, and live. Her story resonates with so many because it's one of the doing all the right things, climbing the corporate ladder, checking all the boxes, and still ending up burned out, exhausted, and wondering if this was all life had to offer. She has worked in corporate fashion and paid off $69,000 in debt. And she's also traveled the world while building business that reflects her values. But most importantly, she has helped over 150 clients reconnect themselves and start designing lives that feel aligned even before they can afford it. And so thank you for being a part of the podcast, Rashidat. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today. I love talking about this. This is going to be a good time.
Yes. And so we are talking about the importance of choosing you. That means choosing me and embracing our rest. By promoting that idea, women can choose themselves. You encourage women to do this. And I've just seen some of the things that you've written up, and and I've watched a couple of your podcast episodes or your videos on YouTube, and it's just been very good. But one suggestion you made on how to accomplish this was to celebrate rest as progress rather than pause. Can you explain to the audience what that means?
Yes, because here's the thing. Us Black women, we are very good at doing the next best thing. And then once we finish something, we're like, okay, before we've even completely finished it, we're already thinking to ourselves, what's the next thing I have to do? And instead of actually stopping to recognize, wow, I did something amazing. I'm amazing. I need to pat myself on the back. We've already moved on to the next best thing. But the thing is, when we do that, we really lose the opportunity to value ourselves, to see our own worth. And we're putting it based on, but I've got so much to do. But you just did so much. When is enough ever enough? And so I feel like it's one of those things that we have to stop and really, and stop is not the right word. As you said, this is not okay, I have to lose my momentum. I think that's the other thing. We get scared that we're going to lose our momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate, or when we make space to celebrate, but I actually think it encourages our momentum. It gives us motivation. It positively reinforces everything that we've done, but also it helps us see that what I've already done is amazing, and there's nothing that's going to change how amazing I am because I did more. I'm already there today, and I think that's so important to notice.
Yes, and I in the past I would do that. It's like I would accomplish one thing, then go on to the next thing, and go on to and never, like you say, really celebrate the wins. And sometimes that can be a form of perfectionism that you got to recognize, because you can constantly be accomplishing, but yet still unfulfilled because we have not done the things that you said, Rashidat, which is to step back and say, well, let me see what I have accomplished in my life. And when you go back and look at it, you'll be surprised at the things that you've accomplished. I talk to so many people and they're like, well, you've accomplished so much and you did this. But in my eyes, I was like, nope, I haven't accomplished enough. It was still like I had to do more until I got out of that rut. Had you experienced that as well?
For sure. I have done it. It was like, I remember coming back from a trip and someone asking me, how do you get to do all the things that you do? Like, you're already living this amazing life. And it was funny
Mm-hmm.
to me. I had to pause and be like, oh, like, I never even thought of it that way. And part of it is because we never really recognized just how much we've done. And so when that person pointed it out to me, I said, oh, to actually enjoy the fact that I am living all of those things that I say that I want in the future. I'm living them right now. If I actually just open my mind, open my eyes to see that right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just talking about that, explain to the listeners what, quote unquote, the hustle culture means and how it's affected so many people.
I would say I call hustle culture is this internalized pressure to keep doing more, which is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what we're talking about. It's the
Right.
opposite side of the coin, because on one side, we don't allow ourselves to see ourselves as enough. But why don't we do that? Because this side of the coin, that hustle culture says, there is no enough. There's always more to be had. So why dare you stop? Like you always have to be doing more. And so it's that, and I believe it started from slavery back when we literally always did more. Like, it was expected of us, uh, even down to they couldn't see our bruises. We're dark skinned. We don't bruise up like white people did. So they didn't see our bruising, our pain. And so they thought that we could handle more. And so they
Mm-hmm.
gave us more. And in what we do and how we survive as Black women, we did more, and we were always able to accomplish more. But here's the thing, we should have never had to go that far, go that hard, do all of those things in the first place. But now we've been doing it for generations and generations and generations. We're used to expecting ourselves, each other, to do more. Like, we don't even see each other as enough. And so we've now internalized it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want us to end that cycle. Like, let's stop internalizing that pressure to be on all the time. Let's stop internalizing that pressure to work 10 times harder to prove ourselves. Let's stop internalizing the pressure to prove ourselves at all, because we are already amazing right now, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's so good. And how do you help women shift from doing more to living more, especially when they built their identity around being so productive?
It's definitely, it all starts in the mind. It's a mindset thing. And then once your mindset starts to shift, then your lifestyle will shift. So in my own life, when I stopped, I remember saying to my friend, I am so tired of feeling like there's not enough space for me to rest. And I remember her being like, okay, like, I mentally understand that, but what the heck does that look like in real life? And
Right.
it was a question that I had to ask myself. What does it look like for me to stop asking myself to do more? I had to look at, like, what is reasonable? Like, when do I tell myself, again, back to this question, when is enough enough? And so I had to look at myself and say, enough is when I've showed up as long as my energy can allow, and then I decide I can't do it anymore. And I've
Mm-hmm.
started to learn, what does that look like in my schedule? What does that look like in how I serve other people? What does that look like in my business? What did it look like for me when I was in corporate? For one, in corporate, I think it's even easier in corporate because you can have a little bit more boundary. You can say, these are the hours that you paid me for.
Mm-hmm.
Any hours outside of that, I am not giving you mental time. But you also have to choose, even if you're saying that, when you leave there, give the over responsibility, give the need to prove yourself, give the need to pad their emotions, give all of that stuff back to the job, leave that at the door, so that when you leave, you can actually enjoy your life. It is all in our mind first, and then our behaviors will start to change after that.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. And Rashida, you probably don't know this, but I'm in full-time ministry. And so a lot of times being able, and for those that, are in ministry and doing a lot of work and things like that, actually trying to stop the time clock at the door can be very challenging when you have so many people that you have to, counsel, or they're calling, or they're, you're dealing with, or even with your coaching business, and you can have to set up, different times and different hours. And, there are counselors, that you constantly do. And I found that, and you talked about this often, and we may get into it, is that you have to schedule in me time. And I tell people all the time that if you don't schedule it and put it on your calendar, like blank, do
Right.
nothing,
Mhm.
and keep it there, then you will get overwhelmed and burnt out. And I would schedule on my schedule, I would schedule do nothing. But then somebody would call and say, well, can you do this? Or can we do this? And I will schedule it in my do nothing. And I did not hold that boundary. And I had to say that do nothing time is me doing something, which is taking care of myself. So my
Right.
schedule is full, and not feel guilty because of that.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's exactly why I created the live stream that I do every Friday, because I want to remind us every single week before, okay, we're winding down this week. I want you to decide what that intention of rest is for next week. And I want you to put it in your calendar. And then, like you said, with that same mindset, you have to hold the boundary. You can't be mad at your friends and your family and your clients and your kids and everybody else for not holding your own boundary. It's not their fault if you don't hold your own boundary. Okay. You said that I was going to go lay in a hammock for 30 minutes, but then
Mm-hmm.
somebody called. You
Mm-hmm.
said you could have said, listen, are you about to die? Okay, you're not about to die. Well, I'm going to call you back after my 30 minutes in this hammock time. Like, those are the
Yes.
things that we have to start choosing for ourselves. Like I said, in our mindset, and then letting our behavior change that as well.
Yes, that is so good. And I love that you pointed that out. We can't blame people for us not being responsible enough to handle our schedules correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and holding those boundaries. And I love that, because it just points it out. It's not that it's the people all the time, it's how we handle our responsibility as far as that. Because if we're not resting, if we're not being able to get that rest, then we're not going to be as productive as we could be had we not scheduled that time to be able to rest. And
Mm-hmm.
you describe rest as a revolutionary act. So what are your strategies for balancing ambition with that revolutionary act
Well,
of
you already
rest?
said my biggest one, which is
Mm-hmm.
scheduling it. And
Mm-hmm.
scheduling it is about making my intention meet with what I actually say. Because you know the phrase "talking out of two sides of your mouth." You'll say you
Yep.
want to rest, but then when it comes time to do it, we've been talking at the other side of our mouth. And so, literally, scheduling it has helped me prioritize it. Another thing that I do is sometimes when I go to schedule my rest, sometimes I don't know what I want to do yet. So, the other thing that I do, and I actually have a worksheet that I share, is I keep a list of what are my restful activities. Because the other thing that'll
Mm-hmm.
happen when it's time to finally rest, you say, well, I don't even know what to do with myself. So what we
Mm-hmm.
do is we go sit on the couch, and sitting on the couch is not necessarily restful. It's not necessarily something that fills up our cup. It doesn't make us feel fulfilled. It isn't just alone time. So what I had to start doing was making a list of all the activities that actually do fill my cup, that allow me to feel rested, that allow me to get that replenishment of my energy and those kind of things, whether I'm in an introvert vibe, extrovert vibe, a summer vibe, a winter vibe, all of these different ways that this can happen. I could go on that list and say, you know what? Oh, earthing sounds really good today. Let me go do some of that today. Or the hammock and a book sounds real good right now. You know what? Let me go do that. So at least I don't always have to have the exact thing scheduled out. I've just chosen a time. And then when it comes time to do that thing, I can kind of pick what's feeling in my vibe at that moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's being well, like we're just saying, it's just really being intentional about getting your rest, and that helps you to be able to be intentional about it instead of being so passive about it. Because if you are passive about it, then 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to call and say, hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing anything, and then you still get
Mm-hmm.
back up again. And so I
Mm-hmm.
love that you said have a schedule or a list, because it causes you to be intentional. And it also makes it fun too, because you can say, hey, what am I want to do today? And it gives you choices and
Right.
options, and it doesn't box you in. And so I really love that.
It also allows you, if you could be present in your body, like literally stop for a moment and say, body, what do I need right now? I know that
Mm-hmm.
sounds really woo woo, but listen, we evidently need the woo woo to balance out all that work. So allow
Mm-hmm.
yourself to be present in that. Like, what body, what do I need right now? And sometimes what I need right now is to be in some kind of movement, or sometimes what I need right now is to cry, or sometimes what I
Mm-hmm.
need right now is to laugh so hard that my stomach hurts. Whatever. But then go give yourself that thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now, what is the best way to say no to someone without feeling guilty or having to explain everything to them? Explain why you can't spend time with them. Explain why you have, because I've been guilty of this in the past. We think it's responsible that we, tell you why I'm not able to do this. Like, I care for you, but I can't do this. So what is some best ways to say no to someone?
You know, it's funny. I made a post actually today that said, unpopular opinion. I, this is one of those times where it's okay for like no to be a full sentence. And, I think again, that comes back to our mindset. A lot of times we are in our own head thinking, well, this person's going to be so disappointed and this and that and that and this if I don't show up for them. And a lot of times that person is like, you know what? I know you needed to sit down, but since you volunteered your time, I might as well go ahead and take it. So I say I have experienced many times where I thought I needed to say something and that person didn't need that. All they needed me to say was, hey, I can't show up fully right now. Can we schedule another time? And I think that's part of, again, like thinking with our own self, giving our own self permission. The
The
world is
world
not
is
going to
not going to
come
come.
crash it down. Okay, it's not going to. Nobody's gonna die. The the president is not. He's crazy on his own. He's not about to come and arrest you. Don't worry. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. Like, we have to choose that permission for ourselves. Now, let me say this. I know that for a lot of us, we still struggle with that people pleasing, and to just say no feels really hard. In those situations, I would say, hey, I know that I originally said that I would be able to do this, but in order for me to really show up fully for you, we're going to have to do it a different time because I don't have the fullness of energy to give to you right
That's
now. I
good.
overestimated. I
That's so good.
overestimated, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
be honest with the fact that you overestimated what you can give
So
and
good.
recognize you can't give that and just say that and move on.
That's so good. So good, Rashidat. You know, you just have such a I talk to a lot of people. It's not just what you say, it's a part of who you are. What
Mm,
got you to that point that where you had to realize, wait a minute, I've got to take care of me.
mm-hmm. Making a mistake a lot. We all hate this, but pain, mistakes are our biggest teacher. And
Mm-hmm.
so I learned this stuff the hard way. I learned it from being burnt out. I learned it from, I really love this person in front of me, and I know they want me to give them my time and my energy right now. But I also recognize that I've done that before. And by the time I'm done, they haven't really gotten what they needed and I don't feel any better. So, how do I keep myself from not doing that again? And that's
Mm.
for one, being honest with myself about how I can't fully show up for that person. And then two, being honest with them because they can respect that. They can respect when I can't fully show up. And they would rather be able to get the fullness of me rather than a half of me, hoping that maybe the fullness of me will come in the future. It'll never come if I'm always burnt out, though. And that means I have to protect myself. I have to protect my time by just showing up and being honest and transparent about what I can do.
That's so good. Great nuggets. That is such great nuggets. And you know, it just rings with me that you can say I can't show up for you fully today, because a lot of times we are showing up half because we're burnt out, or we just finished this task, or we finished this counseling, or we finished whatever it is that we've been accomplishing, and we still try to show up so the other person won't think a certain way, not realizing that you're still doing them a disservice and yourself a disservice. And so that's so good to be honest and transparent, like you said. Now, do you come across or do you coach a lot of mothers about being able to do me time? And what was some advice that you've given them?
Yes. One of my favorite clients, I remember at the beginning, she would cry anytime that it was like, hey, you're doing a lot for your daughter, but she's not even asking that of you, but you're the one burnt out. And she recognized that the reason she was feeling those things really had nothing to do with her daughter. It was her trying to make up for mistakes that she saw her parents do to her, in that she didn't want to see those things happen to her daughter. But her daughter is like, Mom, she's 4, she's 2. I think she's 2 at the beginning. She's 4 now. She was 2, and she's like, not even remotely bothered. And so we started with something simple. I said, what is one of the things that you remember doing before you had your daughter? And she said, I used to love music. Like, before I had my daughter, I wanted to be a DJ on the side. But after I had my daughter, there was no way for me to have time to really do that. And so now I can't be that person that gets, like, I don't know what it's called, an audiophile, I think maybe. She couldn't get into the music and loving it and experiencing the different vibes of it and the hearing the different levels. She loved getting that deep into music, and she's like, I can't do that anymore. And I said, okay, so why don't we take that idea of can't out, and let's say, instead of you can't do it as much as you used to do it, what if you just did it for 5 minutes? And she
Mm-hmm.
started with 5 minutes. If she could just give herself 5 minutes twice a week, she was doing good. Once she did that for a month, then we switched it to 5 minutes, or actually like 15 minutes twice a week. And we started increasing it in different ways until she started to, I could see all over her face, all over her
Mm-hmm.
face, a
Mm-hmm.
refreshment. And it was just, this is not even like you have to burn it all down to finally get to this place. It's literally you starting to shift your mind, and in little ways, you see yourself start to breathe deep again. Like, you deserve
Mm-hmm.
that. And so that
Mm-hmm.
music was one of the tangible ways that she started making that transition.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Now, what's one thing you wish more women understood about success, especially those who are constantly trying to get it right?
Yes,
Yes.
I would say the biggest thing that I wish is, even for myself, I really thought that, I remember at what, 24, the biggest things that I wanted to have a condo. I needed a new car. I needed a great job. I needed to feel like I had done my previous generation, like my mom, my family, us as a Black culture, justice. Like, I needed to do all of those things. And the list that I had of things that I needed to accomplish, I realized I was so busy trying to do those things that the thing that I really wanted was just to feel fulfilled and feel rested. And none of those things actually were the manifestation of that. So I had to, like, really take a
Mm.
step back and say, well, what is it that I actually want? Like, what is actually going to make me feel fulfilled and rested? And the things that make me fulfilled and rested weren't that condo, weren't that new car, wasn't about climbing that corporate ladder. It wasn't about any of those things. I wanted quirky things like being able to be a digital nomad and being able to be present in my goddaughter's life when she was getting baptized in Ohio, but then in Thailand the next week, working from a beach. Like, those were the things that were important to me. And that looks different for all of us, but it's more about asking the question. When we were a kid, people asked you what you wanted to be, like what you wanted to do when you grow up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know who do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Because if you can figure that out, you can figure out how to make money to make that happen. But you first got to figure out what you want to do. And we're not doing that. We're doing it the opposite way around. We're doing, well, how much money do I need to make?
Right.
And then eventually I can live my life. We got to switch all of that around. That's the biggest thing I want us to understand.
That is so good. So good. So many nuggets, audience. I mean, Rashidat has just really brought out some nuggets. Well, Rashidat, thank you for being a part of the podcast today. This has been totally awesome today. You've given us some nuggets that we can dwell on, but I know that the listeners are going to find out more about you, find out how to get in touch with you. So would you let the listeners know the best way to contact you?
Yes, I would say the first and foremost, get on my YouTube channel. That's a great way to get more content from me specifically for free. And that's going to give you all the links, whether it's how to work with me, get freebies, join a challenge, all of those things are there. But you can also go directly to my website at yourdreamstrategist.com, and all of my handles on all the places are at Your Dream Strategist, at Your Dream Strategist as well.
All right. And listeners, make sure to go check her out. I know that you will enjoy her content. Like I said, I've looked at her content and I have enjoyed it, and it's kind of like a coaching for me. And like she said, sometimes you don't have to always say I can't do it because I don't have the money. YouTube is free. Go on and start those steps today and the process today in order to get the rest that you need so that you can be better for yourself first, and then be able to pour out into others. Because if we're burnt out constantly because we're trying to give to everyone else, we are not God. We can't give to everybody. I think that's the problem sometimes, Rashidat. We try to be God and we cannot be God. He's the only one that can be God. So you have to do your part in your purpose and what he's assigned you to do in order to help who he has called you to help. But you can't do it if you're burnt out. You can't do it if you're ineffective, because after a while, you'll shut down. I've had people to say, Rashidat, that I just completely shut down. I had one individual, she was working so hard. We were good friends and she was a principal and everything. And just life was just happening. And she said one day, all of a sudden she couldn't talk. It was like she couldn't talk at all. And come to realize it was just because she was burnt out and stressed out. But they thought it was something medical, but it was not. And so she had to go back. And like you said, you have to go back and revamp because it will affect you physically if you don't address it. Have you heard situations like that?
Oh, it affected me. It was huge. My cortisol levels start going up, which is your stress hormone, and I couldn't get them to go back down, which then led to when your cortisol levels go up, that increases your blood pressure. You start gaining weight. You haven't changed your eating habits or your workout habits, but it feels like your body is falling apart because your hormones are all thrown off. And I was like, what is happening to me?
Yes.
Literally, what is happening to me? And it took me going to Costa Rica for a year to reset.
Wow.
I don't think it has to get to that point though. Like you said, like if we pay attention to these things, and I'm not saying don't go to Costa Rica. If you need a trip to Costa Rica, I would love to help you get there.
Yeah.
Paying attention to those things so that we don't have to get to this point of burnout. Especially because, listen, America does not deserve that from us. Okay, so let's change that.
Yes. So listeners, I will have her information as well in the show notes so that you're able to easily contact her and find out more and just be able to listen in and let it be a little gift to yourself. And that'll be some time to yourself in order to feed back into you as well. And so we are glad that you guys came and listened in on today. But until next time, you have a wonderful day. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Tasty Tidbits. If you're enjoying the show, feel free to subscribe, rate, and share with your friends. To learn more about Dr. Tiffany, check her out on Linktree at dr.tiffanywatkins or visit her website, iridescencebytiffany.com. Until next time, stay blessed.